but I can't afford it. So, I'm gonna show you $900 brand new computer or $20 microchip and amp your computer up just like new. I need more RAM, and you do too. So let's buy a RAM chip, stick it in our computer, and see what happens. I guarantee you, you're gonna be happy. So this is what I'm working with right here. I have my little laptop, a couple of small tools, and I bought this little microchip. And this is the toolbox of all the little stuff that I've acquired. So you don't have to buy a toolkit. You can just buy a regular, very small Phillips head or crosshead screwdriver. I do most of my work just with this little thing, but sometimes you need specific ones like Torx that are very, very small. This is just something to pry open. You see it's plastic, so this would break before the item breaks because of the pinch point right here is very, very small. So I also use these for body work on my other channel at Disturbing Kreationz Auto, so you'll be seeing me use this. This is just a fancy flathead screwdriver. This came in a kit. It's got a pointier flat end on this side, and it's got a flatter one on this side. So I use this to pry things open. And then this is just a little pair of like tweezers, but they're really long, so you can get in there and grab a microchip or something and wiggle it out. I'm gonna show you all this. I don't really use this stuff all the time, but because I do this stuff all the time, I did buy like a $25 kit on Amazon. And I just keep it in this little box right here. So it came with like a suction cup to get the glass or hold the glass, and this is just a little another oddball one. These are all the different little screwdrivers and heads I got in a little kit, but like I said, I don't even use it. I just use this one with the Phillips head. This is another little set of screwdrivers. I bought this separately. This was $10, and it came with all these and a couple small plastics like these ones. The nicer kit that I got had all these metal pieces to spread open, and that's where these pieces came from as well. All these metal, and just another little screwdriver like this. I actually like this one better. So let's get right into what we're actually doing. So this is my ASUS laptop, and it's just a regular laptop. It has a 2.6 gig processor. When I look it up online, it says 3, but when I look at it, it says 2.6. So I don't know if it's 3 total and it allows me to have the like 2.68 or 2.69, whatever it is, to use, because I'm not a computer guru. My business, or my degree is in business. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to turn this over. In all these little holes right here, there's these little screws. I took them all out except for 2. So it's not very hard to get these out. I push down with one finger here, and I just spin this. And then same here. Doesn't take barely anything. If you really have to dig one of these screws out, either someone put Loctite on it or someone has done it wrong. So the screws are very, very, very little. You see how small they are. Put these all together. All right, so then what we would do is, with all the nail screws out, we would start to split this. So I would just kind of go in between here and start popping this out, and then go all the way around. And I already had this other side popped out ready to go, so that looks why it looked a little easier. So we're gonna turn this sideways because I want you to see. Now you can't just take this keyboard off because there's connections between the keyboard pad and the main motherboard, and I'll show you what that is on the inside. So I'll open a little bit here. As you can see down inside there, you see these two bus cables or connection wiring. This little one has on this side, I'll flip it up and then wiggle it out, and that's all it is. It's very delicate, so I'm just gonna let it lay there. And this one's on this side, so you just flip it up and shake it out. They're very easy. Then when you put it back in, we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna slide it in and pop it down, but I'll leave that for when we go. So now let's see what we got here. So this is the keyboard and the mouse pad. If you have to change this, if you get a busted keyboard or if you break some of this, now you can just buy this piece right here, put that back in, and reattach the two panel, this to here and this to here, and that's it. And you can take out this screw right here and pull the mouse out itself. The mouse and the pad and the microchip is all one piece. You can pull that out. I don't know if the keyboard comes with the mouse or the mouse is separate pieces because they didn't have to buy one for this ASUS. So let's put that aside so we don't ruin it. Now we're down inside to the laptop itself. I'm not going to really worry about the monitor at all here. So we have the one cable out here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to locate the chip that looks like this, the RAM chip. I don't see it on top, so it must be on the bottom of the motherboard, and there's no way to get into the motherboard from underneath. So we have to pull the motherboard up. Now, please don't fret. It's not that hard. It's 16 bolts total, and we already got most of them out from the back 10. There's only some left. 6 or 7 left, sorry. So I look for things that are attached because I have to lift this up. I see the fan is attached. So use this and grab the piece and disconnect it. Let's get down in there. I want you to see that real close. So this piece here was connected right here. And I don't grab it by the wire and pull because you see how small the wires are. If the wire was to disconnect from this little piece, then I would have to pull that little piece out and get a whole new fan because there's no way I'm soldering this little. I could do a lot, but the wires are so small, can't solder it back in. Got to be very gentle. Going slow is going to save you the money. Now, there's a screw here. I took it out already. There's a screw here. I took it out already. So let's point to those right here and right here. And this one I left in. So the fan is connected to the motherboard by this piece. The fan is connected to the CD drive on this piece. And over here, this is the Wi-Fi board. I don't know all the technical names. It's probably a modem. So I'm gonna get that little screw out so we can see it. You see how little these screws are. Little. There's 3 of them. You're gonna put them all together as well. Now let's look at the fan. There's that little wire here. You see how small the microchip is, the connection? So just try to be easy with this. At this time, you can look up inside and clean any of the dirt that's inside your fan as well. You see how much dirt is here? If you have one of those air canisters, this will be a good time to blow all this out and clean it. I cleaned out whatever was in there already. There's some on the fan. I'll blow it out in a little bit. I'm gonna set this aside. Now we're gonna get back in. Now I do pull up on this a little bit and disconnect. You see the way it connects in, it has a split here. And just lay that aside. That's the motherboard, or the modem, the Wi-Fi chip. We have to disconnect right here the battery. So let's get a connection. Let's see. Now I don't take the battery out. I just disconnect this little piece here. Here, let me see so you can see it over the white label. You see the little connection? And I took that out with this as well. Just kind of grab it on the plastic, wiggle it out. You don't need to. If you have fingernails, you can get in there and grab it, but don't grab the wires. So disconnected. All right, so I have to cut the video right here for something very important. I've been doing this for a long time, so I got a little complacent, but what you want to do is always disconnect your battery no matter what you're working on electrical. I always do it in my auto channel, and I should always do it with my computer stuff. Well, I didn't, but I caught it. So I'm glad you're watching this video before you started to mess with your computer. So either take your battery completely out or disconnect the microchip that leads from the battery to the motherboard every time first before you short anything out. Now let's get back to this interesting video. So now that we disconnected this and this, there's a screw here I disconnected, very small black screw like this. There was one right here, and there was two here. So I already took one of those silver ones out. We're gonna get the next one here. I'm gonna tilt this back. So we're just gonna tilt back and this will pop up. And then you're gonna hold the monitor. You're gonna hold the monitor and hold this. You're gonna pull this up against the monitor. That way you're free of all connection. Now I'm gonna take my plastic piece and I'm just gonna start popping this up, popping it up. You'll hear these little noises, but it's okay, it's just popping out. Now, I don't take the chip this all the way out because I'm gonna show you a little trick to not have to take it all the way out. Now, on the other side here is the RAM, where the RAM chip is. Let's get a real close look. Now you see this board right, this line right here, and these two clips? That's where the RAM chip is gonna go. And we're gonna slide it right in there and it's gonna pop in. Now these four little pieces right here, this is a RAM chip that is already built into the board. You have 4 gigs of RAM with this ASUS notebook or Visio book or whatever they call it. I have to look it up again. It already comes with 4, but it's already inside. Now, you can get a 4 chip to go with this to make 8, but I thought go big, go home. I got an 8 chip, so now I'm gonna have a total of 12. I'm 3 timesing my RAM so I can edit film better. So let's open up the packet here. It comes with this little stuff, DDR4. Now this is a DDR4 2600. The DDR4 is the way the chip looks, and that tells you how many pins are in the chip, how many pins, and where the cut is. A DDR3 might have the cut over here, so it's like a small one and then a long one. I don't really know because I haven't looked at one in a long time. But DDR4 is a special looking chip, and it says 8 gigabytes of RAM DDR4, 2400. Now the 2400 is the speed of which the chip processes. I got a 2400, which was a cheaper 8 gig because it matches with the 4 gig of 2400 that's already in the laptop. I could have got a 4 gig at like 3000 or 3600. It processes faster. It would have gave me 8 gigs total, but then I would have had one chip processing at one speed and one chip processing at another speed. And you just don't want to do that because it causes a lot of problems with the computer. If it all processes at the same speed, your computer is going to crash less than if you try to maximize out and don't match what you have. Hey guys, I had to cut again. I mean, I'm a perfectionist, so I want to make sure you have all the pieces of the information. So what I'm trying to explain here is I have a 4 gigabyte DDR RAM that is part of the motherboard on one of my computers. Now that is an HP and the speed is 2400. Now if I bought another microchip, let's say a 4 gig DDR4 to match it, I would still have to get the same 2400. Now I could put a 2666 in there, which is 266 faster than the other microchip, but your computer can't run 2 speeds at one time. So what it will do is it'll take the smallest speed of all microchips and it'll run all RAM at that same speed. Now, since the computer that I was talking about had a chip soldered in, it was already 24. I'd be wasting my money if I bought anything else. But with the other computer, I can put 2 microchips in, and those I can put whatever speed that I want. So before you're going to buy any chips, make sure to look up your computer and what your rating is, because if you have a soldered chip inside, you are stuck with whatever that speed is. And if you waste your money to buy more, you're not going to get the speed. Now let's get back to this video. So let's go ahead and pop this in. So we're going to look down in there. So you can see what I'm doing. We're just going to take the chip, let's see, and line it up. Oh. So you're going to put it down in those lines first. And then once it lines up, you're going to pop it back. There it is. Okay, so we got lined in and we popped it in and it clips itself. Take your time on this part, please. You don't want to lose scratching the motherboard or scratching the chip. You see how easy that went in? And we're done. Now we are at 12 gigabytes of RAM instead of 4. All right. So we're going to set the laptop down again. We're going to pull the microchip this way, push up on, I'm pulling up here and pulling, and I'm pushing down on this side so we can pop it back in place. Once we pop these peripherals back in place right here, the peripheral connections, it'll slide in, you hear it pop, slides in, and then push down, and it kind of just lays where it wants to lay. It wants to lay right there where the holes are connected. We're going to take the Wi-Fi chip, and there's a little piece on the side, and it's like just a little opening as well, and it slides right in. So I slide it right in. Then we're going to take Mr. Fan. Mr. Fan goes on top of Mr. Wi-Fi. Now, We're gonna go ahead and try to put this. Let's get a real close up of this. Now I do this with my fingers to put it back in because I don't want to scrape going down. When I'm pulling out and up, you're not going to scrape with this when you're pulling out and up, but when you're pushing down, you can scrape. And all these little lines on this is a connection. If you scratch any of those, you're donezo. So I put it very close to where it's supposed to be. I put a finger on top of it, try to line it up and slide it in. And there it is. We're going to do the same with this one. I'm going to try to put my finger on top and just match it up where it goes. And there it goes. So in. We didn't take anything else out. And what did I just do with that little one? There it is. And let's do this one first. So, because this one attaches the fan and the Wi-Fi. So we're gonna line those up so we can see through the hole. We're gonna easily just lay this screw down inside there. And we're gonna take our screwdriver and go right on top. Tilt it with what we think is straight up and give it a spin. Just go really slow. I'm telling you, if you go really slow, you will feel it get tight. If you try to muscle through this or go too fast, you're gonna twist this. It's gonna strip. Half of this stuff is going into plastic. You just gotta be really, really easy with it. So, now the only thing I have to do left is I'm going to put one screw right here. One right here. So, we can always just use some magic. And screws be in. So just because you made it this far, I got a little joke for you. All right, now that magic made all the screws go in, we're gonna put the keyboard back on. So I kind of just line it up a little bit. And I like to look down in here, see what I'm doing. So I think that this one's the hardest right here. So you see the little flap, you see how it flaps up and down? That little tiny thing right there. So make sure it's up. You're gonna slide the little blue thing in, you're gonna feel it connect, and then you're gonna put it down and just give it a barely a little tug, barely. And if it sticks in, it's in. If you yank this, it's gonna pop it out and then you might break it. So gotta be really careful with this stuff. So we're gonna take the little thing. And this one's in. And now we flip this little one up and put this one in. So this one has a white line on it. You have to stick it all the way in past the white line before you put it down. If you don't get all of it in, then it's not gonna compute. It's not gonna make sense. All right, so there it is. Everything's connected, everything's together. Now we're just going to lay it down. We're going to go ahead and start pushing down on this to pop it all in. Then I'm going to flip it over and then we're going to put the last couple of screws in. Okay, so I want to show you this before I continue so no one gets the wrong idea. This plastic cover piece is to make sure that the motherboard never hits any of this other metal. You know, like if you sit on this or you press on this laptop, or it's in your book bag or something. So I connected these two wires just to show you where they go on the motherboard and how to connect them. But I had to disconnect them and put them back on because I needed to put this correct plastic piece back on. Now, if you've never done this before, I would practice connecting these without this connected because it's kind of hard to ship this around and then retape it back on. So now that everything's in, we're just gonna pop it down. You know. So then, now that everything is sealed, I'm gonna put all these little screws back in here, just like this. These little ones, right? And then just screw them all in. Just go slow, because like it caught right there. If I would have been twisting on this, it would have either tore up the head or it would have broke the screw off. And if you tear this head up, then you got to dig this out or get a drill, and that's just too much around electronics, so you don't want to do that. So let me go ahead and get these screws in, and then we're going to turn this thing over, and I'm going to show you the first fire up. Hopefully it works so I don't look bad. All right, let's get some work done. So I forgot to show one little piece. When I connected everything together, I did not connect the bridge wire here that connects your hard drive to the motherboard. So make sure that you also connect this one. I connect it, I put a little piece of tape on it, you know. A little piece of electrical tape on it, put that down, and there it is. BIOS utility easy mode. Ah. Wow, I like that. It's telling me everything. So I guess this is save and exit, CPU, BIOS. Okay, so total memory. We went from 4,000 to 12,000. Amazing, right? Definitely just hook this up. So now the computer's just kind of thinking after I went through BIOS. I guess it's kind of resetting itself, doing a boot up. I did find a problem that when I was trying to boot it up, it was only going to BIOS and it wasn't going past. It was saying that the hard drive was not found. I had to take the keyboard back off, and underneath, when I clipped up the thing and pushed it in, I didn't clip it back down and it didn't make a circuit. So I had to go through all that. So all these little things, you just have to go through your work, look at what you did before, and then see where you're at, and you'll be able to find it. So it looks like we're getting what we want, getting Windows ready, don't turn the computer off. And we're gonna see where we're at. So with 3 times the RAM, I'm really hoping that I can edit a lot faster and convert MOV files, which are my 4K files that I'm doing from my iPhone, and I'm using a 1.6 processor with 4 gigs. This was a 2.6, and it had 4 gig, but now it's a 2.6.3.3.0 processor with 12K. So I'm going to use it and process right now some video, and I want to see what it looks like, and then I'm going to give you guys my final justification of. All right, so what's my final outlook? Well, let's think about things. The one computer that I did, I just changed the microchips, I turned it on, and it ran like 3 times as fast, and it was crazy. I felt like I just bought a brand new computer. But on this one, I had to go in and do what's called a BIOS update. Now, if you know what that is, great. Now that you have more RAM, you can get a better BIOS update, which will run your computer a little differently. If you don't know what it is, type it up into Google or YouTube, because unfortunately I don't have video on it, and run a BIOS update. Now, before I ran the BIOS update, ran kind of slow and sluggish. It wasn't like working correctly. But as soon as I ran a BIOS update, now I can stream a movie. Like say you're gonna watch this movie, this video. I can do my homework online on the university website at the same time, and I can send messages on my social media to my buddy back and forth. Now, before, if I was watching a movie, I could just watch the movie and I would try to load up my email, or I would try to load up like an editing program, and completely one of the two apps would just shut down, crash. It would start the thinking, it would say not responding, do you want to end this program? It just wasn't working at all. I can't believe I can run so many things with just a RAM update. So $800 for a laptop or $20 for RAM? I'm going for 20 bucks. What do you think?